We all have different reasons of why we come here to this planet. The beauty of free will universe is that we can be and do and pursue whatever we want. The pain of it is sometimes people don't choose their highest version of what's possible for them and they want to stay stuck. This one person that I have to stick to and I have to make it work, even if it's dysfunctional, even if they're abusive, because they're my twin flame and soulmate. That means I have to hold on to it. We want to save them because we have that soul contract. If it all goes to plan, it's amazing. If it doesn't, then you have to do what's for the highest good, which is not play the human pattern game. You know, it's tough. So the way I look at it, right, as I believe, again, we are energy, pure energy, high energy, loving energy. We come from a greater consciousness, a great source, right? People call it God, universe, source. There's different names for it, but we come from some place higher, right? The energy that creates life, the energy that fuels life, we come from that space. And we come to Earth in this physical body for different reasons. Some of us here want to experience what it's like to be human. We want to experience the emotions that human beings experience, the depth of reality, the duality in some cases. We just want to do that. And for some, we're like, I want to learn a lesson. I just don't want to read about it. I want to actually learn it and experience what it feels like. You know, whether that's joy or love or, you know, becoming a parent or grief. Like, what are these emotions that we're reading about from the ethers, right, in the book, and can we jump into that page and be part of the movie and experience it and really feel like feel it to the core. So instead of just knowing what it is, we actually have a very, very real, embodied, practical experience, and we're like, that's what it feels like. It's like if I told you, here's what love feels like, and you're like, okay, but unless you experience it, you won't know what love or heartbreak feels like unless you experience it. So I feel like different reasons. Some souls come in here to learn lessons. Some souls come in here to experience, life. And some souls come in here to uplift and bring light in the areas where it's dark. That's their purpose work. They're like, I've learned the lessons and yeah, I still want to experience some stuff, but I want to come into this planet at this specific point in time to bring more light, because when you're in an energy and you're in on the soul level, you see everything. You see the past, present, and future. You see what's wrong. You see what needs to be fixed. And on that high space, when you're not influenced by anything external or media or programming or trauma, you're seeing things clearly. When you're in the human body, it's like, it's 50-50 if you remember that, right? So I feel like we come in here at times and we're like, this is what we're going to do. This is our mission. This is our purpose. Hopefully I remember it when I'm in the human experience and I don't forget it, right? So I feel like soul contracts, right, is maybe we have soul friends, soul family, soul partners that we come in here and we know what we're going to do. We shake hands on a soul and energetic level and like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I feel like there's also agreements of like, hey, I will wake you up or you will wake me up or we will go through this experience or this will happen to give us the best chance to experience what we want to experience in life, or if we're asleep, it just wakes us up. So I feel like soul contracts are that. There are some people, they come into your life, you don't know why they're in your life, you feel like you've known them for a while, and some of them, they give you a amazing experience in life. You look back, you're like, that was amazing. You changed my life. And some people are like, gosh, you caused so much pain, and you remember them. And because of them, it drives you to make a decision in life. Or because of them, you're like, gosh, I never want to be that because of them, right? And I feel like I look through life with the lenses of looking at everybody, whether they've caused me extreme amount of pain or extreme amount of joy, as teachers. Soul contracts, because the thing is, joy and pain can drive you to do things, can drive you to realize things. People that have driven me to experience rock bottom. It was painful. I was angry in the moment. I was like, why would this happen? But some of those painful and dark experiences, birth a new mission for me, right? A new realization, a new mission, and fueled me to be where I am today. That had I not had that experience, right, it probably would have been different. So for me, I look at soul contracts as there are, souls and other beings, before we come to earth, that we shake hands of like, this is are some of the lessons that we'll teach or will help facilitate or will wake us up. And we agree on it on the highest level. But in the human experience, we forget about it, right? So when it comes to like soulmates, like those are what it is. You've known each other on the soul level. There's familiarity. There is that connection. There is that deep, you've done different journeys together and you forget it. And you're here and now there's still that bond, but there's no context to it, right? And some people follow the plan. Some people veer off the plan. Some people, they wake up and they realize what they're here to do and they know it and they can't shake it. And some people forget it because they experience so much trauma in life and it really spirals them into darkness. And we want to save them because we have that soul contract, but we know like, shoot, it's hard at times because we live in a free will universe to where if people want to be helped, they have to be open and willing, because if not, you can help them all they want and you'll be a Band-Aid today and there's going to be a fresh new wound tomorrow, and you're going to put a Band-Aid today and it's a fresh new wound tomorrow, and it's a cycle that never gets anywhere. So a lot of times that's one of the hardest things with soul contracts and kind of like soulmates is that if it all goes to plan, it's amazing. If it doesn't, then you're like, oh shoot, right? Then you have to do what's for the highest good for yourself, which is to move forward knowing that if you want to help them, if you want to wake them up, if you want to pull them out of where they are, sometimes the best way to do it is not play the human pattern game that's keeping them spiraling, but to break that and be an example of, what you want to be. And hopefully one day they see and they're inspired by it, right? So I look at it as, again, we all have different reasons of why we come here into this planet. Some of us, like, literally, it's just like, this is your first incarnation. You're like, this is the first time. You're just here because you're experiencing Earth. And some, they're more intentional. And I think for us, the greatest moment in our lives is when we awaken to our nature. We remember why we came here to do. We're inspired by it. It doesn't mean it's easy to do. A lot of times we know it comes to us, but just because we know what it is doesn't mean it's easy to implement. Sometimes things that are super important takes years for us to build up the courage to do it because, it's tough, but we end up doing it. And a lot of times we also have supported people that show up in our lives that change our lives. I'll give you an example. We had one of our dear friends, and she took care of our kids, a few years ago, and she was someone who experienced so much pain in life. An immense amount of pain. And anything that could you can think that could possibly go wrong, went wrong. Like, she had younger siblings, and her mom was addicted to alcohol, so disappeared when she was like 7 or 8. So for 1 or 2 weeks, she was the one that was raising her kid, raising her siblings in the house, providing, becoming an adult, because stepping into mom's role because mom wasn't there. And that was just the beginning of a series of events about everything you can possibly think of that went wrong or was dark happened. And when she came into our lives, she had a lot of love, right? She was a first responder, an emergency nurse, helping people, had this like big heart, wanting to help others. And I thought to myself, how does someone who's experienced so much darkness, because not everybody gets out of it. Some people experience so much darkness, they can't help it. Now they start hurting people because it's too much, right? And sometimes hurt people, and that's what happens. It's a pattern of pain and trauma. But how do people who experience a lot of darkness sometimes turn out to be diamonds, right? And I asked her, and just like, what happened? And she said, when she was a kid, she would go into the mall and she would just like watch the kids go on a carousel, and so badly wanting to be on that carousel, but she didn't have the money. So she would go in there and just watch other kids enjoy while she was like, still trapped in her reality, thinking that, humanity is dark, people aren't good, people out there to hurt you, and I don't have enough money to do what I want, right? And one day, the day that changed her life was a complete stranger, didn't even say hi to her, didn't even look at her, saw that she was looking, saw that she couldn't do it, went over there, put a few quarters for her so she can go in, and then left. And because of that, she was able to go ahead and Ryan, and it changed her life because in her mind, there was now a different truth in her mind, a different possibility. One was, how can my mom, who's so close to me, do this? Right? That was one reality. And the other is like, how can a stranger who doesn't even know me do something that will make me happy? Right? And it showed that there was beauty in humanity. And that could have been, a soul family, a soulmate, somebody who shook hands with her on an energetic level, knowing that, hey, when you feel lost, when life happens to you, I will do this. And because of that, it will give you a chance to open your heart. So for me, that's an example of like, people think soulmates are all like romantic and all those things, but it can be anyone. Your soulmate can be your dog or your cat or a stranger or someone that does something to teach you a lesson and it wakes you up. And because of that, life is never the same.
So then you can have more than one soulmate or twin flame or karmic partner or whatever. It's not like there's one person for you that you're supposed to like.
I look at it as growth and lesson partners. You can have a village. You can have 1,000 of them, right? And whatever definition you look at, they're souls that are here to support you or teach you a lesson or be here in a monumental part of your life or a different phase of your life or to do life with you for a season or for the longevity of your life. So I look at it from a broad set of lenses to where it can be any and all of the above. It doesn't have to be just this one person that I have to stick to and I have to make it work, even if they're hurting me, even if it's dysfunctional, even if they're abusive, because they're my, twin flame and soulmate. That means I have to hold on to it. No, because at times, that might be true on an energetic level. But if they've forgotten who they are and now they're consumed by darkness, then the plans change, right? And a lot of the times is realizing that everything is dynamic. And the beauty of free will universe is that we can be and do and pursue whatever we want. The pain of it is sometimes people don't choose their highest self, highest reality, highest version of what's possible for them, and they want to stay stuck. And that's the most painful thing for people who we care about and we love. But in order to not spiral with them and also to give them the best chance of breaking free from that, at times we got to do the hard but necessary step of not dancing the way that they're dancing, because the way you guys are dancing is causing pain and suffering and trauma, right? Unless someone changes the dance is going to be the same. And if they can't do it, then the person who can, which is typically the person that's like wakes up and sees it, I feel like has not even obligation, not even responsibility, not even duty, but has that opportunity to break that cycle if they choose to.
Do you see the earth as a school for souls? And do we have an option to come and not come? And can we go other places?
I think it's a mixture, because here's the thing. I think sometimes we're here mostly, I feel, to experience, because the human experience is a very different experience from other experiences. It's the human experience. It's like, you're like, I want to go to Australia, or I want to go to Egypt, I want to go to Norway, I want to go to Mexico. These are all different experiences. And you can read about it, you can watch about it, but until you're there, flying in there and experiencing the culture and doing excursions, you don't really know. So it's an experience. So I feel like we sign up for experiences because as souls, we want to expand. We want to experience new things. We want to experience what we haven't experienced. Or if there's an experience that we really like, we're like, gosh, I want to go back there again and re-experience it. And this time, be fully present. So I feel like there is that. I mean, there is learning, but I feel it's more about remembering, right? Because there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of wisdom and spiritual gifts and knowledge that we come with. And the big flaw that I feel we have as human beings is that we think we're born flawed or imperfect, that we're broken at times, we think, or we're told, right? Or that's what we believe in, and that we have to keep working to be enough. Well, I think the opposite. I think we come whole, we come enough, we come with this wisdom, and at times we're here to experience this great challenge of, even when there's a lot of stuff coming at us. And there's a lot of darkness and a lot of trauma. You go against all the odds and you access and you remember who you are, the knowledge that you're here to share, because there's some things on a soul level you've already mastered. You don't need to learn. You've mastered it. You just have to remember it. So I think it is a cool experience of we're in this reality to where we're experiencing things, we're learning things that humans have to learn to survive and thrive in this world, which is the human game, a different set of games. And we're also here, to remember the things that we've mastered. So you're experiencing, you're learning, you're a master all at once, right? And people forget that there's things that they've already mastered, so they give their power away, not realizing that your soul might be so ancient that the book that you're reading that you love, that's moving you, who says that you're not a part of writing it? But we forget that at times, because again, when you're born here, and you can see it with kids, some of the kids that are born, they're virtuosos. They're playing, amazing classical music from the get-go, and they're remembering things, and they're telling you wisdom that you're like, where is this coming from? Because they're still tapped in. And as life happens, not that they're not tapped in, but they forget that they are, and they focus on life. And it's the beautiful thing when you remember it, but even a more beautiful thing when that doesn't get turned off for children, because they just spend the rest of their lives tapped in, connected, and that saves them from a world of pain.
So in your understanding, is there a distinction between soulmates, twin flames, karmic relationships? Like, is it very different things?
I think they all have similar tones to it. I think it's like people that are soulmates, they might, it's like the person I'm here to be with. I feel like the way I look at it is we're all coming in here with a soul posse, soul friends, soul family, right? And it's it's very broad. Some of them here are going to be like, lovers and partners. Some of them are friends. Some of them are family members. Some of them, it's hot and cold, and you have to label it. So you call it twin flames. So you're like, oh, just hot and cold, right? So you just label depending on what it is. There's multiple labels for multiple scenarios, but in reality, it's just, we're soul buddies, soul mates, soul family, soul friends. You all come in here, right, with a purpose, and humans try to label that one way or another. But I look at it as, hey, I'm here to grow. I'm here to experience. Someone's going to wake me up. Someone's going to be a teacher for me. Some things are going to be painful. Some things are going to be beautiful. Some of them are going to forget. Some I'm going to have, the best way for me to wake them up is to break the human pattern. So I've got to actually pull away, and that's part of my contract, so that I wake you up, because I'm not playing the game. And hopefully when I do that, you wake up from this illusion and you remember. So I just look at it as all the same. It's just in the human experience, it might show up in different forms.
Can you go other places?
Yeah.
Like the Earth? Like where?
I feel like people's consciousness goes to different planets, different times, like, different places. If you look at it, we travel. Like, if you look at when you go to sleep, we're traveling. Our soul's traveling. We're doing different things. So there's a reality to where you think you're human, and you are in the human experience, and you go to sleep and you're traveling. You're doing different things. You're going to spirit school, right? You're learning and you're remembering and you're recharging and you're refueling. So I feel that there's that. But I also feel at higher levels, when souls get to higher and higher levels, right, of purpose, then you access, kind of like what I think is fractal technology. And that's where angels, archangels, like, higher level beings exist, to where their consciousness can be in 1,000 places at once, learning, experiencing, giving, sharing, helping, all at once, because they realize energy is energy. And you realize, the part of the whole has the map of the whole. Therefore, at higher levels of consciousness, it can be as potent as the whole, and it can be everywhere at once, experiencing life through different dimensions and being able to process it at higher levels, right? So I feel like we can be anywhere, and depends on the experience. Some people are like, you know what, I want to learn more love. Then they might go to a dimension where it's all about love and the lessons are about love. I want to learn. Some people are like, I want to learn about, sacred geometry. Then their soul might travel to, places where sacred geometry is the thing, whether it's Egypt or they reincarnate in the Mayan times and all that stuff, or places where it was a heavy focus on learning about sacred geometry, right? So I feel like it's a adventure for your soul. What do you want to learn? What do you want to experience? What do you want to master? You might be like, gosh, this thing was really, really cool in this lifetime. How can I master it? And you pick a path. Or it can be like, gosh, things was really, really great, but this was the weak point. Looking back, this is what I was missing. It's my weakness. Can I go back and can I work on that? Is there a place? Is there a situation? Is there an experience to where my entire life, a good portion of it is things are happening with my soul buddies to make me really focus on developing, experiencing, and mastering this thing, which I feel like it's pretty cool to develop, right? So I feel like our souls definitely, we're in the mixture of experience school, learning school, and purpose school, right? We're always like going between all of them, and then also there's the expansion, right? So I think we're always expanding. I think every single, either reincarnation, if you believe in that, or place our soul goes to, it's always with the intention of expansion and learning more about ourselves, our nature, who we are, what we're capable of in different experiences. How do we react in different realities, right?
Then do you see that there's like a higher purpose behind the soul contracts in terms of human evolution, and like what is the final goal of the souls remembering or experiencing love? Like where are we headed with that?
So I feel like, in my belief, is we're always pushing the boundaries of our potential, and we have this deep knowing and understanding. We have this deep desire to understand who we are and where we came from. So a lot of it is, call it source, call it God. People are always wanting to expand and return back to their highest version, being connected to the highest version of themselves, which is to me returning back to source. Because like I think everybody in existence is, we come from light, and a lot of times we forget that we're light. It's light forgotten, and we get far away from our nature. We're super, super far to where sometimes the journey of the soul is returning back to our potency, who we are. And it's the journey, to learning lessons, to giving, to experiencing, so we can see, wow, I'm stronger than I thought. I'm a more powerful manifester than I thought. I can heal faster than I thought. I can bounce back, more, right? And I can help more. And the more we're able to stretch, we're like, I thought I couldn't do that, but I did. Then it teaches us about who we are and the power we have within. And I feel like every single journey our soul takes is just expansion to that reality. We're trying to understand, who are we? How much better can it get? How much more can I help? How much more can I give? How much more can I learn? How much more can I teach? And it's a journey and a lesson in expansion and experiencing ourselves at the highest nature and vibration. We're always seeking that, because they're like, where does this end? Right? So for us, it's a continuous journey, I feel, of mastery.
Do you have any sort of final insight or advice for people who want to dive deeper into soul contracts and like learn to identify them, work with those people that they feel like they're bonded to?
A lot of it is probably asking the question. If something is feeling strong, you have a strong connection with somebody and it's there, and ask yourself, because you're looking at things from the humanistic perspective at times, we all do, and ask yourself, what's the higher meaning to this? What lesson is my soul probably trying to learn, or their soul is trying to learn, or their soul's trying to teach me, or I'm trying to teach them? What's the higher meaning that I am missing? Because a lot of times when you have that perspective, it changes everything. It changes everything. Because you see somebody in pain and you ask that question, and maybe it comes to you like, oh, their soul wants me to teach them how to step into their power. But if you keep saving somebody, you take away that opportunity for them to step into their power, because you're doing it for them. Then when you realize, gosh, I got to take a step back. I've got to create this void, this space, to give them an opportunity to realize that they can do it. Because the human part might be like, I don't want to hurt them, so I don't want to do that. But what if their soul is like, the ultimate failure and hurt is for me not to realize my power. So now you gotta ask yourself, what are you gonna follow? The soul contract or the human illusion? Because in the reality, they might want to break free. They might want to step into that, but they don't know how. But when you can see it because you see the higher meaning, then you can help them with it. And they might be uncomfortable for a minute there, but then they'll thank you when they break free, right? And you just have to ask the higher question at times.